There are a plethora of genres and subgenres in media overall, but this is even more apparent once you get into the category of gaming. Action adventure games are fun, but they lack the replay value of other genres, and you kind of know what you're getting into after playing a couple of them. A decent to good 15 to 30 hour story with a couple of side quests and collectibles here and there, but nothing really to move the needle forward, besides some games and Inception. The FPS market is absolutely riddled with either sweats or cheaters depending on the game, and you must have an attention to detail on some things such as your crosshair placements, peeking, positioning, all while relying on an algorithm to determine if you will even be able to kill the enemy with enough damage output.
Watching pass roll from above.
That's Twitch.
Sports games? Do I really need to go there?
Take the crowd out of the game. And oh, right away, he lost the football. But fortunately, he's able to recover. Back to throw. Henry. And hit behind the line. He lost the football. It's loose. And it's out. He put it on the carpet. It's picked up by the...
Fighting games are excellent and provide a nice challenge for those that want a 1v1 aspect, and 2024 has had a resurgence of fighting games lately. With titles such as Tekken 8, Street Fighter 6, Guilty Gear Strive, this is now the perfect time to get into fighting games. However, they are arguably the most difficult genre to get into for new players, as you must learn basic fundamentals such as footsies, neutrals, whip punishes, counters, launchers, and a whole bunch of lot of shit, just to be decent at the game. Mind you, this is all before you can really even get into your combo bag. And me personally, if I get hit with some of the combos I see online, I'm quitting before you even have a chance to finish that combo.
Oh, you want something too, old man? Huh? No.
Devs nowadays have made fighters more accessible for newer players to get into, but you're also going up against vets that's been in the space for 5+ years and some even 10+ years. I haven't even scratched the surface with sub-genres such as MOBAs, hero shooters, and the garbage looter shooter genre as well. If I were, the video would be much longer than it already has to be. One genre that's always kept me coming back around has been RPGs. Now, what defines an RPG? According to the official definition on Wiki, yes, Wikipedia, an RPG is a game in which players assume the roles of characters in a fictional setting. Now, people seem to miss a true RPG game with games that have RPG elements, but not quite an RPG. I would consider games that are true RPGs like Nier, Mass Effect, Skyrim, Fallout, just to name a few. I would consider a looter shooter such as Borderlands or Destiny to be in their own looter shooter role just because they don't really have a story that you're directly impacting with your choices. They do have RPG elements such as ranking your character up, leveling your character up, swapping person skills, choosing different ways to play, but it's not really impacting the story with choices. And I know that every RPG doesn't have to be choice based, but I want to consider those RPGs compared to the other games that I mentioned. RPGs are awesome though. There's nothing better than coming home from a long day of school or work and escaping to a world of space exploration, a post-nuclear apocalypse, a spiky hair kid with a damn keyblade sword, fighting along Goofy and Donald, and another world where you just gotta shoot yourself in the head just to unleash your power.
Persona! Persona!
This genre of gaming has produced some of my childhood favorites for its world building, character development, and the freedom of being able to do what you want, whenever you want. What's going on with all you beautiful people, extraterrestrials, and whatever you want to identify yourself as? It's your boy Rob, yes, just Rob, back at it with another vid. Today we're going to be going over why RPGs are undoubtedly the best genre of gaming, and why every gamer should give them a try. But first, somebody cue my intro. Up to my early life, I was more of a platform kind of guy. You obviously had the big ones such as Mario and Sonic, before they turned Sonic to shit of course. But I was more on a cult classic, such as Sly Cooper, Jats, Ratchet & Clank, Crash Bandicoot, Spyro, and even some of the SpongeBob platform games, if you feel like raging.
Come on! Oh my God!
I swear, those SpongeBob games were the Dark Souls of platformers, man. I was playing these games for most of my early life growing up until I went over to my grandma's house one summer and I saw something that my cousin was playing for the first time that changed my gaming life forever. And it turned out to be the Disney Final Fantasy cult classic collab, Kingdom Hearts.
And you and I, there's a new what's left of me, what's left of me now.
Anyone who grew up around the time of Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 release, you know how special Kingdom Hearts was. To discover Kingdom Hearts, you had to find it. This is way before content creators were promoting games, before some of the bigger game review companies such as IGN or GameSpot were covering games. Hell, even before YouTube, really. I never even seen an ad or a trailer for a Kingdom Hearts games up until I was editing this vid. I didn't know anything about the story as a kid, and even as a grown-ass man now, I still can barely keep up at times. But I just knew once I got back home, I had to tell my mom to get this game for me. Being able to play with Sora and fight alongside with Goofy and Donald, and going up against some of Disney's most iconic characters such as Ursula, Jafar, Hades, Pete, and a couple more just to name a few, it was something I never experienced in any form of gaming at that time. And I probably spent over 2 lifetimes playing just Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 alone. However, my personal favorite is Kingdom Hearts 358. I know the combat was kinda janky, but I was a Roxas fan. Suck my ass. Kingdom Hearts even had a pretty solid leveling system, which includes skills to help you fly, counter easier, boost magic abilities. Hell, you can even one-shot some enemies if you knew what you were doing. This was way ahead of its time for what presented to be a game marketed for kids. Air quote kids, because hey, some of the boss fights in that story, man, that shit wasn't for kids. This was my first RPG ever, and I was hooked. But the only game I really played in the genre up to this point was Kingdom Hearts. And that was until a certain game studio went on an all-time classic run. If Kingdom Hearts was the gateway drug for me in RPG gaming, then the Fallout series had to be what eventually got me strung out. I played a bit of Fallout 3, but never really got around to completing it until my later years, and I love the game. I saw a trailer of Fallout New Vegas on TV and didn't quite know what I was looking at, but I thought it was one of the coolest things I've seen at that time. Now granted, I was very young at the time of release, and while I love my mom, she shouldn't have bought me that game. But for those who don't know, Fallout is set in a post-nuclear apocalyptic world where society has been hammered by the nukes, and whoever, or in this case, whatever, is left pretty much turned the world into a lawless town full of raiders, power armor generals, radiating humans in the form of ghouls, and whatever the fuck this is. And that's just the name of the humanoids. It gets much weirder once you get into the different types of animals and creatures and robots. I would never forget being scared shitless running to my first Cazador, even thinking I was gonna get some free XP. But instead, I fucked around and found out what they were really about. And what won me over with Fallout, in particular Fallout New Vegas, with its anti-political propaganda, its factions, its world building, and the ability to truly do whatever you want, whenever you want. While L4's factions were kind of New Vegas had the best factions in my opinion. The NCR, Kaiser Legion, the House, they all had their own goals and motive for wanting to control the Mojave Wasteland. And even though I didn't agree to all of it, yes, I'm talking to you, Kaiser, it was well appreciated to see how much attention to detail was put into this game and how it still holds up for even over a decade at this point. You can really progress the story however you want. If you want to side with Benny after meeting him or just blow his brains out, you can. If you want to kill 3-Dog when you meet up with him, you're a sicko, but hey, you have that option to do it if you can. If you want to join Khazar's Legion, you can. If you want to just kill off a random companion, you can do all of this. This is even more apparent when you're even traveling the world. There are so many different videos I've seen where you can get into New Vegas in more ways than I even tried in my first initial couple of playthroughs. I believe when I first played it, I got my signs up to a certain rank and ended up hacking all the bosses, but now I'm seeing people just go to completely different areas and secret paths just to get to New Vegas, which is still cool to this day that that's even a thing. And even though I feel like Fallout 4 has the best combat and definitely the best gunplay, I just can't help but the fact that it's just more handhold in that game. It feels more like an action sandbox compared to an RPG, especially once you get into some of the dull dialogue and how the fact that, you know, you don't really have a say-so in the Wasteland compared to Fallout New Vegas in 3. And the settlement system, absolute dog trash. I know some people personally like the building. I can't fucking stand it, man. If I want to build, I'm just gonna play Sims. We also got Skyrim from Bethesda around this time, which that game alone is probably gonna deserve its own vid. You can truly make whatever build you want, and there are still mods being made for that game after a decade, and some of them that just looks amazing. It completely turns the game to a different game. And while I definitely played a lot of Skyrim, Fallout always had a special place in my heart. As I was growing up, I kind of fell off from RPGs, and the filthy grip of NBA 2K, Madden, and Call of Duty eventually took over me. That was until 2 games in particular saved me from that hell. As I mentioned before in my Persona 2 vid, I got into Persona 5, which was my first Persona game after Overwatch. Once Brigitte got introduced into that game, it went all downhill from there, so I was looking for something new to play, and my friend got me into Persona. I won't dive too much into the things I liked about the game, since I mentioned in the previous vid. If you want to hear me go more in depth about Persona, then I would recommend checking out my Persona 2 vid, link in the description. I instead want to talk more about Mass Effect, which is another series I got onto later. People been asking me for years, Rob, you love RPGs? Rob, do you love sci-fi? Rob, you should definitely play Mass Effect. I've been hearing it for years and years, and after the Legendary Edition came out in 2021, I had to give it a try. If I could describe Mass Effect in a nutshell, it would be Star Trek mixed with old school BioWare RPG. You know, before they started fucking shit up. The first game had the best world building I've ever experienced in any game, going over the different races such as the Turians, the Krogans, which are my personal favorites, the Asarians, the Solarians, and a whole bunch of more different types of races in that whole world. It's not the fact that BioWare just presented you with these different races in this universe. They also go over their backstory as well, like the Krogans, for example, are these extraterrestrial humanoid creatures that are affected by a disease that stops them from being able to reproduce, thus making them go extinct. And without going too much into characters' backstories and different types of character missions as well, the Krogans are also still trying to find their cure for the disease as well. So while you have your own things going on with the main story of the game, you have different things going on in the universe as well, which really makes the whole entire environment feel alive. If you haven't played Mass Effect before, I highly suggest you give it a try, just to learn more about the lore and the characters in this whole entire world, man. Because just going over for a surface level will make the video longer than it already has to be. Mass Effect inspired a lot of these RPGs, man, just from the different type of ways that you can play with your classes, doing renegade runs. We just talking about Fallout earlier. I guarantee you, Bethesda took a page out of BioWare's book with allowing you to be that bad guy that you want to be. And just from an exploration standpoint as well, being able to go to different planets, seeing all the Easter eggs, getting collectibles, getting to side missions while you're on those different planets as well. Not even Starfield can do what Mass Effect done at this time. Overall, I really enjoyed all 3 games a lot, minus the ending for Mass Effect 3. I don't know what BioWare was cooking up with that one. From the character creations, perk system, the different classes you can choose from, decisions you can make in the game that directly affects the story and the exploration aspects, I want to humbly apologize to myself for not playing these games sooner. But hey, it's better late than never. Persona and Mass Effect reinvigorated my love for RPGs, but I still just had the itch for For those that have watched my Why I Love Yakuza vid, you already knew what I was going with on this one. I can't stress enough how impressive it is for Ryo Gagatoku Studios to go from making beat-em-up games for a decade to turn around and turn this franchise into a turn-based RPG. The game shifts away from the legendary Kiryu Kazuma into a new up-and-coming main character, Ichiban Kasuga. I just love how the game's new style of play is centered around Ichiban's love for the Dragon Quest series, and you can definitely see some inspiration from the sound effects and overall turn-based combat. But what makes Like a Dragon so unique is they took all the great things about Yakuza, such as the goofiness and the generous amount of side content, and turned the entire world of Like a Dragon into an RPG. You still have your sub-stories, Sega arcades, batting cages, but now you're able to do different things such as craft items to help you use healing medicines for your parties, and you can also craft weapons and armors as well. You have dungeons that help you grind that throws waves of different types of enemies that increases the difficulty as you get closer towards the end. I actually really enjoy grinding Like a Dragon. I never felt as though I had to struggle too hard with enemies or getting the materials I needed to craft my legendary equipment. An RGG rewards your time for doing said grinding. Once I got those legendary items and equipment, I pretty much just beasted through the rest of the story. And now that we're in a turn-based combat instead of a beat 'em up, you're now able to use different type of melee attacks such as smashes, slashes, projectiles, you name it. You can even switch to different classes in the form of jobs and swap freely as long as you're at the Hello Sunshine or in Infinite Wealth, Aloha Land. That means you can truly fight any boss or any common enemy however you want. I've seen people run full-on bleed builds, yes, bleed party builds, that just melts bosses. I've seen people run an elemental build where one party member is able to use lightning like Ichiban. Some people are able to use water, some people are able to use poison. It's just so many different ways you can attack your enemies in this game. And the gameplay has been up even further in Infinite Wealth by now allowing all your party members free range movement. You still have a certain range that all the party members have, which size also depends on the character you're controlling. But now you're able to tell where your skills would go compared to the previous game. For example, when you're using Adachi's charge in Like a Dragon, you had to wait for enemies to fall in a line just to be able to hit multiple enemies. But now in Infinite Wealth, there's an arrow indicator you're able to control in order to set up a big play much easier. This also helps make weapon attacks easier because now you're able to walk over and grab the enemy and then use it on someone compared to hoping you're in range to grab it on Like a Dragon. Hawaii is also gorgeous as well, and it's damn near made the game feel like an open world. The sub-story was fun as hell and some of the best in the entire series. They even added a Pokemon and Animal Crossing mode, which are 2 completely different modes in their own right, and honestly, they can get their own video. Seriously, I've seen people put 100+ hours just on those 2 game modes alone. This was a big risk from RGG to take a love franchise like Yakuza and turn it into an RPG, especially with how fickle gamers are now and ready to bash anything into the ground. But boy, am I glad they took the chance, because not only this is my favorite game in their franchise, but this is my favorite game of all time. That was a lie. It was worth it, but it was a lie. As you can tell, I absolutely love RPGs, and 2024 has been the year of RPGs, and we still got one big hitter left on the board that's going to be releasing a month after this release. Please be good, BioWare. As always, if you like the vid, and comment below if I at least convince you to try to give RPGs a try, and if you already have experience with the genre, then let me know what's your favorite. Now, if you all excuse me, I'm gonna go back to playing Black Myth Wukong. Until next time, it's been your boy Rob. Yes, just Rob. And I'm out. Peace.